Oh, you even do tracts? That's
Do you know anyone else who's come up with a pyramidal tract, a threefold tract for a threefold God? Have you ever heard of such a thing? It's the Mercedes-Benz of tracts.
It sounds like it.
10 of those have had to discontinue them because they're just so expensive. It's like literally a pound. It's a pound per tract because they've got to be folded in just the right way. But yeah,
the gospel's worth it.
Tracts are so hard to make. I think me and you, Phil, have tried to make tracts before. It's so difficult because you end up with you think, right, I'm going to do a really short one, and then it ends up being 2 A4 sides, and then we've got all our sort of darlings that we love, and we don't want to kill them. We're like, oh, no, that one's got to stay in there. Oh, we can't do that. Well, it's really.
It's a good technique, though. It's a good discipline. Can you? Not because you have a reductionistic view of the gospel and you think you need to get it out in an elevator pitch because people are going to hell and you must, but for your own sake, in terms of clarity for your own thinking, what is most essential to what you want to communicate. It's a good exercise. Can I go and show you it?
Yeah. Go for it. That would be good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. Tracts, it's difficult making a tract.
I remember making that tract. I've got it somewhere on my computer. I think it's backed up in OneDrive somewhere. We could actually look at so you're showing off your tract. I was just telling Dan that I could probably find what we tried back in the day.
See, I'm putting it on my chin. I'm so. See,
I like that.
You start off with life according to Jesus, and then you flip it over, and God is a loving union of three, and you read about the three. And then the world is shaped by 2 representatives, Adam and Christ, and you fold that down. And then you're born one with Adam, be one with Jesus. You fold that down, right? And then it becomes the pyramid. You put that on the table, and you sort of talk about, can we talk about God's threeness, and can we talk about the world's two-ness and your oneness, right?
That's top level stuff, Glenn. That is top level.
But it's all been decommissioned by 10 of those.
So how many of them have you got left sitting around?
I've got like 12, something like that. Not very many.
Do you think there's much use for tracts? I remember when I first became a Christian, the church I was part of, and my granddad as well, we go out, every Saturday to the local town, into town, Staines, giving out tracts and for sort of a morning or afternoon. Do you think does that still work? Are they a waste of time?
I definitely do that. I think the main thing I want to get into people's hands is like John's Gospel, or I have a big stash of Gospels, and I usually try and get those into people's hands. And with the caveat that most tracts are terrible. I went through Eastbourne the other day, and that's where I live, Eastbourne on the south coast of England. And bless them, there was a group with a table out, and their prominent tract that they were pushing on people is this flames on the front cover, and it says, "God's wrath is as eternal as God's love."
They weren't Jack Chick ones, were they?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I'm sure it's from the same publisher, but God's wrath is as eternal as God's love. And I got into a good conversation with the guy. I was kind of like, is that true? In eternity past, was the Father loving the Son on Monday and then hating the Son on Tuesday, and then back to loving him on Wednesday? And
it's all together, Glenn. They're not separate. His wrath is a part of his love, isn't it?
Right. And, towards the Son, like constantly. Yeah. Is he constantly angry at the Son as well?
We don't let logic get in the way of your tracts.
I know someone who wrote a dissertation defending the statement God is hate. Wow. Because wrath is an aspect of God's love, and the simplicity of God means that God is hate. It's just like, please, please no. So anyway. Some tracts are better than others.
Sorry, at least he acknowledged it needed defending.
Which the wrath of God needed defending.
Yeah.
But I think what people try to do is they try to reverse engineer their gospel from the end, and then you so if the main deal is there's heaven or hell, you just reverse engineer everything, even back into the eternal being of God, and you put people in the hot seat, and you tell them go left or go right, which is kind of like it's Hercules at the crossroads, isn't it? Hercules on his great adventures. One of the adventures is, do you go the way of wisdom or do you go the way of folly? And the way of folly is represented by this woman who's very seductive and not very well dressed, And obviously she looks attractive, but watch out, because at the end, it leads to destruction. On the other side, there's the woman dressed as wisdom, and she looks very prim and proper. But you know that it's probably the wise thing to do. And what a hero Hercules is. He goes the way of wisdom and not the way of folly. So isn't he great? And isn't that so much of evangelism? So much of evangelism is people, saying there's heaven or hell, and if you're clever, I know it doesn't look like much fun. I know she looks a lot more attractive, but come on, be clever, think about this, and then you are Hercules walking the way of wisdom. That's so much evangelism.
Yeah. Oh, that's how I do it, and we're doing it wrong.